Hello, I'm Leonard Maltin, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to Disc 1 of your host, Walt Disney. This DVD set is near and dear to my heart, as I'm sure it will be for everyone who grew up watching Walt Disney host his weekly television show. For those of you too young to remember, I hope we'll give you an idea of why he became a kind of Pied Piper for an entire generation. Prior to the advent of television, Walt had made occasional radio appearances and was widely interviewed in newspapers and magazines. But it was TV that made the greatest and most lasting impression on the public, by bringing him into our homes week after week. This was no corporate executive talking about his product. It was a creative genius welcoming us into his world and taking us behind the scenes of his films, theme parks, and other activities. Walt wasn't a professional TV personality, but in time he came to feel at ease speaking directly to his audience. And pretty soon, he was a household face as well as a household name. The name of his show changed several times, beginning as Disneyland, then becoming Walt Disney Presents, and finally Walt Disney's Wonderful World of Color. But the content and his approach never varied. We've chosen a handful of shows out of the hundreds he introduced that emphasize Walt's involvement or have a particular resonance for dyed-in-the-wool Disney fans. Where Do the Stories Come From is our earliest program. It originally aired on April 4th, 1956. It's a prime example of how Walt used material from his library in creative ways on the weekly hour-long show, and introduced kids to great Disney characters and cartoons from the past. You'll see storymen Al Bertino and Dave Dedich at work on Crazy Over Daisy, and meet longtime staff composer Oliver Wallace. Then you'll see another storyman, Milt Banta, using live-action footage as inspiration for the cartoon Raccoon Dog. The last segment of the show holds special interest for Disney buffs because it focuses on the railroading hobby that Walt shared with his star animators Ward Kimball and Ollie Johnston. In fact, you'll see home movie footage of all three and their backyard setups, including a very playful Walt. The fourth anniversary show, from September 11th, 1957, is one of the most unusual from the entire series. For one thing, Walt appears as himself in a flashback sequence that recreates a workroom where he and his staff are preparing Peter and the Wolf. Walt abandoned his trademark suit and tie to show us how he might have looked when he was actually working on a film. The show also features the Mouseketeers, making a rare television appearance away from the Mickey Mouse Club. And there are many wonderful surprises. I'm particularly excited about presenting a show that was lost for many years. A black and white kinescope of Kodak presents Disneyland 59, a live 90-minute television special from June 15, 1959, that served to introduce the world to three important new attractions at the Anaheim Park: the Nautilus submarine, the Matterhorn, and the monorail. Walt trusted his friend Art Linkletter to be the official master of ceremonies, as he had been on the park's opening day in 1955. But the boss is never far away, and everything you see is part of his dream come true. There are dignitaries, including the Vice President of the United States, Richard Nixon, with his two daughters, and a galaxy of stars, including some names that will ring a nostalgic bell for anyone who was watching TV in those days. Irish Macalla as Sheena, Queen of the Jungle, for instance. Other celebrities include Tommy Kirk, Guy Williams as Zorro, and Robert Loggia as Alfego Baca, an up-and-coming TV Western actor named Clint Eastwood, and a future star and filmmaker, Dennis Hopper. Blink and you might miss them. You'll also see Annette Funicello appear without billing or comment in the big Matterhorn production number. Incidentally, the studio's film archivist located the original footage for the pre-produced film segments in this live show and spliced them into the kinescope for this DVD. So those sections will look much better than the rest of the program, which was photographed off a television screen in 1959.